Okay, let's begin today's class. There is a reason why I am taking the first few practical sessions, the laboratory sessions as theory, so that we can cover up a little bit of the theory portion so before you can start with the laboratory assignments. Okay, so I'll probably take I want to finish off the small portions which are remaining in our last lecture. Yesterday we did this. Okay, so today we are going to finish off with the smaller rectangular potential step, which is kind of a little bit you can call it as a corollary of what we have already done in our lecture with the larger rectangular potential step. So with the help of the larger rectangular potential well, we have essentially explained the situation where the energy of the particle E happens to be less than the barrier potential. We have seen that in details in our last discussion, right? So today we are going to look into the situation where the particle energy E is higher than the barrier potential V naught. Okay. Now, here is another very, like in our previous lecture also, we have noticed that we have already seen several instances when classical mechanics does not explain some of the phenomenon which we observe in the quantum world, isn't it? So today also we are again going to observe a few phenomena in the quantum world which we do not have an equivalence in the classical world. Okay, so let me open up another instance of the journal so that I can explain it better. Okay, so this is the classical world, classical situation, and this is the quantum. In the classical world, suppose you have an obstacle, okay, and the height of the obstacle is say h. And now you are here and you are throwing a ball at this height. Then what do we observe? That the ball which you are throwing from here, it will basically go above the entire obstacle. Say the obstacle is until here, and then there is no obstacle on the other end. So the ball will go, the trajectory of the ball is completely independent of the obstacle which is below it. Yes or no? So that means instead of this obstacle, suppose I simply remove this obstacle completely. Sorry. If we remove this obstacle completely and we throw the ball on a ground itself. Okay. So as far as the trajectory of the ball is concerned, does it get affected by the presence or absence of this obstacle? The answer is no. So that means as long as the height at which the ball I'm throwing is above the height of this obstacle, the ball is going to have its own trajectory. Suppose now the height of this obstacle is much larger. Okay, so let's assume this situation. Now I'm suggesting that the obstacle is much higher. Then what will happen? The ball is going to rebound and get back. I mean, it's simply going to bounce back, isn't it? This is what we are all aware of. In our perception, this is the truth. This is the reality, isn't it? Now let us take the same situation, copy and paste in the quantum world. Okay. Now here is an energy barrier. So instead of H, let us call it some other something like V naught. Okay, and instead of the ball, it is an electron. Okay. Now it turns out that electron is a wave. First of all, this was a ball which will behave as a particle, or if it is a collection of particle, it is a body. But anyways, you can consider it as a solid body, solid particle. Here in the quantum world, let us assume this is an electron. Electron or any kind of quantum particle. So instead of electron, this is true even for a proton or anything. Okay, so this is actually a wave now. This is not a particle anymore in the quantum world. Now, what we will observe, something very, very interesting, is that the trajectory of the electron, which we are throwing on one side, is essentially given by this kind of a wave, right? So if we think about the kind of similarity, if we spontaneously make the mistake that the quantum world is also driven by whatever intuition we have in our classical world, what will happen? You will assume that the wave is supposed to go on irrespective of whatever is below it, right? It turns out it's not the case, as we will see today. What happens is the phenomenon of this quantum world is defined by something called Gibbs free energy. We will learn about it now. I mean, Gibbs was the scientist who basically defined this. So Gibbs free energy. So free energy is what? The particle energy is somewhere here at this level. Yeah. And the potential barrier is here. So free energy simply means is defined as E minus V of X. Okay. So that means the Gibbs free energy in this region is simply E. In this region, the free energy is E minus V0. Okay. Whereas in case of classical, what we have observed is that the potential energy of this ball is dependent only on the height of the ball. So that means the energy at which the ball is moving here is defined by this height. The energy at which the ball is moving here, of course, it will follow, let us say, acceleration due to gravity, and it will fall down. That's okay. But what I'm suggesting is the energy of the particle of the ball here, in this case, is also defined by mgh. Okay. Here, what is energy? Again, mgh. Here, we are not considering the height of the barrier as such. So as a consequence, the ball, when it is traversing in this particular height, it is oblivious of the obstacle below it. This is something we encountered every day. For example, this is the reason how when you have got hurdles, okay, or you can simply jump over an obstacle, right? So that is how it happens. In the quantum world, on the other hand, when the electron or the quantum particle is moving, okay, the energy of the particle is given by this dotted line, which I have drawn, isn't it? Whereas, so this is the energy, potential energy of the particle when V is equal to 0. When V is equal to V0, then this is the free energy. Okay. Now, what is the K1 value? So we defined like K1 is equal to, in our previous class, twice ME by H cross. Fine. So here you can clearly understand, since this is over here Vx is equal to 0, here Vx is equal to V0. Okay. So what we get here, this is the region 1, so K1. This is the region 2. This is again region 1, because again Vx is equal to 0 at this point. So let me just write it here. So here again Vx is equal to 0. Fine. So in the K1, in the region 1s, in the regions which are designated as 1, K1 is this. In K2, you are going to have twice ME minus V0. Correct? So what is this K1, K2? These are the wave numbers. We know that is 2 pi by lambda. I'll call it lambda 1. What is this? This is 2 pi by lambda 2. Therefore, which one is higher between K1 and K2? Obviously, K1 is higher because there is V0, which is a finite quantity, and positive 1. So this is larger. So clearly, this will be larger. Therefore, what do we understand? That lambda 2 is larger than lambda 1. What does it imply? That the moment the particle is entering into this region 2, it is going to be having the same wave function. Remember, in the previous class we had seen that if the barrier is, if the V naught is larger than E, the particle will essentially die out. It will essentially go like this and simply die out to zero, isn't it? In this case, it is not the situation. It is going to have the sinusoidal wave, all right. The only thing is the wavelength will be increased. Are you getting me, everyone? Because lambda 2 is larger than lambda 1. Okay? Because your wave number of K1 is larger than wave number of K2. Take care. Everyone with me as of now, until now? This is just the physics I'm telling you. This is a little bit of mathematics I have shown. Then we will understand the real model in a while. Okay, so that means now let us understand the situation. If V naught is going on increasing, that means the free energy of the particle within this region is decreasing. Okay, then what will happen? There may be a time as if this free energy becomes lower and lower, so that means now the new thing will be essentially something like this, let us say. Then the free energy is much low, so K2 is much lower, so lambda 2 will be very, very high with respect to lambda 1. So you will hardly see any variation in the what? Variation in the probability of finding the electron inside this region 2. Because what will happen? If this is very low, let me use another color. This will be somewhat like that. You will hardly see any variation. So that means if you are observing, now again, let me draw the situation of the observer. So here is your eye. You are looking at this point here. So the probability of finding the electron is something. Here, on the other hand, the probability of finding the electron will be invariant with distance. Over here, if you notice, the wavelength is much smaller compared to the wavelength in the barrier region. Okay, so obstacle region, let me call it obstacle rather than a barrier, because barrier essentially means that the obstacle is larger than the energy of the particle. So let me call it as an obstacle. That is, I think, easier to like more, which is obstacle word is closer to the physical situation which we encounter in our daily life. Okay, so now what we observe is that the variation of the probability of the of observing the particle is going to be invariant. Okay, now let's get back to the associated mathematics. So now this is region 1 as we have done in the previous class. This is region 2. Now the barrier is lower, the barrier is V naught is lower than E as we have shown over here. So this is kind of an obstacle. Smaller rectangular potential step. Previous class was larger rectangular potential step. Okay, very good. Now this is region 1, region 2, psi 1, psi 2 accordingly. So previous class we did V naught minus E. V naught minus E when it was larger. In this case, it is going to be E minus V naught because E is larger than V naught. Cool. So how do you define K1 and K2? It is defined simply as E minus V naught, and this is E. So Gibbs free energy is E minus V naught, which V0, which we have, which I explained a little while ago. So psi 1 solution of this differential equation, psi 2 is a second order differential equation like this. Now, here we can ignore this d e to the power of minus ik2x. In the previous case, how did we ignore, or how did we kind of say that d is equal to 0? You already know that if we keep this d e to the power of k2x, this term, essentially implies that as x increases, as that means as we are going farther and further away from the junction or the interface or the interesting part wherever quantum mechanics is happening, you will find more and more observations concerning that system. That's simply absurd. So that's why we put d equal to 0. On the contrary, if we are talking about this situation, how are we removing this d? Because remember, unlike the previous case, we are going to have this I, and that is the reason why I told that we are anyway going to have an sinusoidal function. Okay, so in this case, the particle is still moving in a sinusoid. Okay, so what will we observe here? That if this is a minus over here, e to the power of minus iq2x, this means that this is the plus x direction, minus x is in the opposite direction. So there is absolutely no reason for the particle to get reflected back. In this case, yes, there is a component B which is getting reflected at the junction. Whereas in this case, there is no junction for which it is going to get reflected back, isn't it? So in the minus x direction, we are not going to have any component here. So that's the reason why there is a phase advance in the plus x direction. So there is no phase reversal. Okay. So once we have got the psi1 and psi2, then again the boundary condition, two important conditions which we said mentioned previously. One is the continuity of the wave function, the other one is continuity of the flux. Okay. So what do we get here? This is the continuity of the wave function. Okay, what is this? Continuity of flux. From here, we will get the two boundary conditions. Okay, a plus b equal to c, and this is the other one. From here, I have just done some mathematics. You can verify it later. Then again, we will follow up the same procedure which we have done for the larger rectangular potential well problem. Okay, kya tha? We tried to figure out the probability current density. Okay, this thing, probability current density. That means what is the probability that, okay, we know that there is some particles here and some particles there, but what is the probability that these particles will actually move, giving you the current? Okay. So the incident current will be given by incident radiation A, uska mod square h cross k1 by m. SR is the reflected one. Reflected wave is B, capital B mod square, that is the amplitude. So B square mod of B whole square. This essentially gives us the probability of finding the electron over here in this region 1. Okay. Multiplied by h cross k1 into by m basically gives us what is the probability that those electrons are essentially moving away from the junction. Okay. Now we will again do the same thing for the transmitted wave. Okay, h cross k2 by m c square. Then notice the reflection coefficient and transmission coefficient b by a whole square. We already have this number 2. And the transmission coefficient is c by a whole square into k2 by k1. This is coming from math. You will get this. Now, from algebra in class 6, 5, 6, 7, something like that, in your school, you have noticed that this relation is always true. This is an observation. So let me just write here observation. This is always true. This is a mathematical identity, right? So that means what it means is the reflection coefficient plus the transmission coefficient is equal to 1. What does it mean? That what are the things that are happening here? Even though there is an obstacle, this is not better to call it obstacle than a barrier, as I said. Even though there is an obstacle, that means the energy of the obstacle, the potential energy of the obstacle V0 is lower than the energy of the particle. The particle is never lost anywhere. Okay, that means R plus T equal to 1. So that means the total probability of finding the electron on the left hand side is equal to the total probability of finding the electron on the right hand side of the barrier, of the junction rather. Okay, so what is the only difference what I mentioned is the Gibbs free energy part. Okay, so K1 is going to be larger than K2 thanks to this V0 part, V0 component. So what will happen? The wavelengths, so from here to here, is going to be smaller than the wavelength from here to here. It's not drawn to scale. I mean, I should have drawn it better. Okay. Yes, Ashok, tell me.
So you said the probability of finding electron in this region is equal to probability of finding that.
Yes. Yes.
Hello.
Yes. What is the question?
Then reflectivity is equal to transmittivity, right? So,
no, what happens is the reflected wave, the probability of finding the electron, that means if you try to find out the probability of finding the electron over here, that will be A mod square minus B mod square, which will be equal to the C mod square. Okay, so here it is a sum of two, it is a superposition of two different waves. One, this is incident, other one is reflected. Okay, so the total probability of finding the electron, if you notice, that will remain the same. That will be given by A mod of A square minus mod of B whole square, which will be equal to the C mod square. Okay, in fact, it is basically given over here. If you do this R plus T, that is what? B by A mod square plus, what does it give you? This is what we have got, right? So there is one K2 by K1 over here. Okay, so it can be proven mathematically that if you are, so basically B mod square by K2 by K1 is going to be A mod square. Okay, so if you are just subtracting this B part, you will be left with this. Okay, so essentially meaning that even though there is an obstacle, okay, there is no difference in the probability of finding the electron. The only difference which you will observe is the wavelength. So now you might be thinking, okay, wavelength in the wave, how does it affect your observation? The observation will be such that here, I mean, after this, it is going to follow a trajectory like this. So that means the variation at any instant. So over here, for example, this is a node. What is the probability of finding the electron over here? Should be 0, because that will be the mod of the amplitude square, right? So here it is 0, whereas here it is the peak. But in this case, if you are going by the same distance apart, you will hardly find any difference. So the if you are essentially trying to find the probability of finding the electron, here it will be maximum, here maximum, but here it will be 0. But here maximum 0, maximum, okay. Whereas in this case, the maximum is here, the maximum is there, here is the 0. So the variation in the maximum, like where is the maximum probability of finding the electron, that is going to vary, vary less compared to the previous case. That is because of the Gibbs free energy. However, the maximum probability which you find is going to be the same. Okay, so that means the probability of finding the electron here and the probability of finding the electron there is going to be the same. Okay, but the variation between the difference between the instances where you will find the maximum electrons is going to be much larger in K2 rather than in K1. Understood? Huh? Yes. Now, this is actually the situation which you will find, which you will encounter in most of the devices. In devices, you are, in certain cases, of course, you will be having this, potential barriers where the electrons cannot move. But in most cases, as we will see in case of like solid state material, in solid state, what is happening? Okay, there will be nucleuses of the atoms which are arranged in periodic lattice, right? It's let us think that this is silicon. So there is a lattice constant of silicon. This is ASI, a lattice constant of silicon. The gap between the atoms in silicon. Now, where does this happen? Where does this theory come into the picture? Now, let us say that electrons are moving inside the lattice. When we say that electrons are in the conduction band, what does it mean? The electrons are free to move throughout the lattice, isn't it? So when the electrons are moving like this is an electron here. What does it subjected to? These are the potential barriers. But as you can clearly understand, these potential barriers are like the obstacles, not the barrier that the electrons cannot move. The electrons are moving anyway, but they will be going through a periodic array of these potential obstacles. Okay, so all that it so now you understand what will be the characteristics. So here the potential barrier V0 is practically 0 or very low, so we will essentially put this. And when it is in the obstacle, okay, everybody, are you coming? Are you understanding what I'm trying to tell? Please. So this is going to be your. Do you understand, Ashok and everybody? Who else is there? Please understand. That means when the electron is moving inside the lattice, it is essentially going to follow this kind of a trajectory. That means it is going to have frequent wavelengths when it is not in an obstacle. The moment it is in an obstacle, in between the lattice constant, it is going to have kind of longer wavelengths.
Sir,
Okay.
why is the
Now,
potential maximum exactly between two?
So if you notice, the amplitude remains the same. Okay. So if you just cut open one silicon block, then you are going to find the same probability of finding the electron, because the amplitude remains the same. The only thing is that it is going to have this. Now, one major thing to keep in mind is that how does it reflect in your as an electrical engineer? One of you asked an excellent question. Sir, Shia or someone asked yesterday, right? That was a very good question. Somebody should ask me right now. Sir, ये तो wave functions हो रहा है. Then how do you? What is the tangible measurement of this phenomenon? Can anybody tell me? As an engineer, this is all I'm doing all physics here, right? You might be thinking, some of you, that okay, we thought we will be doing semiconductor devices, but Surya sir is teaching quantum mechanics. Okay, it's like physics. But what is the physical kind of significance of this phenomenon?
Mobility.
Sorry.
Mobility.
Mobility. Yes, much more tangible than it is simply resistance, R. So this phenomenon, that means electron is moving in a particular trajectory, but because of this lattice, periodic potential variation, it is always going to have a difference in the wavelengths. So basically it is, so if I can put it like this, faster, again slowed down, faster, again slowed down, faster, again slowed down, faster, it goes like this. So this essentially leads to, in physics department, solid state people will call this as a scattering phenomena. There are multiple kinds of scattering. The scattering which I'm talking about is electron ion scattering. Remember, the nucleus is an ion. Okay, so these are the ions. So this phenomenon which I'm talking about is electron ion scattering. There are two other kinds of scattering: electron-electron scattering and electron-phonon scattering. However, electron ion scattering, which I'm showing it over here, that is going to be, it's easier to handle. Let me just, okay, let's not bother about scattering as of now. This is going to be too much for you right now. So this is kind of one form of scattering called electron ion scattering. There are other two scattering also, which I'm not discussing here. So this scattering phenomena gives rise to the resistance of the material. Okay. So that means this is not specifically true for silicon. So if you have a metal, metal will also have a resistance. Okay. So after Tuesday's class, when we go into solid state, then we will understand, we will have a much clearer understanding about, okay, solid state we have understood. Okay, this is a periodic array of atoms. So under what condition that lattice, that solid state material, solid state crystal will be a metal, under what condition that solid state material will be semiconductor, and under what condition it becomes an insulator, that will become clear when we deal with solid state. But in order to understand solid state, you need to understand quantum mechanics so that you can have a physical feel and an understanding about how the solid state is even born. So solid state is the result of quantum mechanics. Okay. In BTech, in the very basic BSc level or even in the BTech level, people will learn solid state material just by learning, okay, ऐसा ऐसा होता है. Okay, कुछ मान के चलो, कुछ जान के चलो. There is a proverb. So आप लोग सब मान लेते थे. Professor used to tell, okay, silicon is a semiconductor. You used to say, okay, yes sir, thank you. Silicon is a semiconductor. But if I ask you why silicon is a semiconductor and why, let us say, silver is not. Silver is a metal. Those things you can explain only through quantum mechanics. Yeah. Then.
So, this keeps bothering me because change in wavelength corresponds to change in phase. We have the statement. So if
Yes.
I apply that thing here in the region 2, so
Yes.
Change in phase leads to change in wavelength, then it results in change in energy. Is that correct?
So what happens is this change in energy is essentially coming from the Gibbs free energy. Notice, earlier the energy was E. Now the energy of the particle, you cannot say, like, unlike like classical physics, where the energy of the ball, which I showed earlier, okay, it was irrespective of the obstacle energy or obstacle height. In case of quantum world, the energy of the particle is essentially dependent on the free energy of the particle. Okay, so in this case, what you said is absolutely correct. So there is a change in energy. As you can see, the energy was earlier in region 1, it was E. Now in region 2, it is E minus V naught. Okay, so now because of this change in energy, as you said, there will be a change in the phase and the wave number. Okay, so in fact, if you notice that, as I told, I spoke something about the wavelength change. In other words, if you think about C equal to nu lambda, so C is constant, lambda is changing, so the frequency will also change now. Okay, and this frequency change is related to E equal to H nu. Huh? Sorry? Earlier it was in region 1, it was E1 equal to H nu 1. This is H. In region 2, it will be E minus V naught is equal to H nu 2. Okay, so the frequency also changes. All right. So what you said is correct. So if there is a change in the wave number, then automatically wavelength changes, phase changes, frequency changes. And if the frequency changes, energy changes. Yeah, energy is changing from E. So the free energy of the particle, earlier it was E here. Now in the region 2, the free energy of the particle is E minus V naught. Earlier, I mean, the particle will behave as if its energy is E minus V naught, not E anymore. So this is the difference between classical and quantum. In classical, it was oblivious of the. Sorry? Hello?
Sir, excuse me, sir.
I mean, I cannot hear you. There is a problem with the signal. Hello? Could you repeat, or you can type?
Hello?
Also, let me see. Yeah, please. I can't hear you actually. Hello, please repeat. Hello. Hello. Am I audible to others?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, that is truly my problem. Sir, is it
Uh,
not?
no problem. You can type or you can even mention those questions in the classroom. That is also fine. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
I'll explain your
Mention in
questions anyway.
class.
So change in energy leads to energy change in the probability, right? So yeah, of course, of course, of course. Sure enough. All right. Sorry, what did you write here? Something related to probability? No, there is a change in the energy. It doesn't essentially refer to the probability. Please understand. The probability of the observation is essentially given by the mod of the amplitude square. This gives the probability of finding the electron. Why will the probability be different? Okay. This is the maximum probability. So just understand this. Okay. Let's go by the very basics. This is one wave. The other wave is okay. In both the waves, the black one, what is the amplitude? A. What is the amplitude in the red wave? That is also A. So if we are trying to measure the probability of finding the electron, this is region 1, the black is region 1, this is region 1, the red is region 2. Okay, please understand this. So in region 1, when we are measuring the maximum probability of finding the electron, so we are going to observe here, it is going to be mod of A square. Cool. So when we are trying to find out the maximum probability of finding the electron in region 2, I'll check it out here. Remember, whether it is plus A or minus A doesn't make a difference because it is the mod of A square. So the probability of finding the electron in both region 1 and region 2 remains the same. Okay. What changes is that you will again find the maximum probability of finding the electron here also. That means this gap is less. Whereas in this case, mod A will be here. Okay, so this gap is much larger than this. Because there is a frequency change, there is a wavelength change. So frequency and wavelength changing doesn't essentially influence the probability of finding the electron. Okay, Ashok, you said, so there is a change in energy. That is perfectly correct. It leads to a change in probability. No. The probability is different. No. If the probability is different, then basically what is the difference between, let us say, the previous case here, where we could see that the probability of finding the electron was reducing when the barrier was larger than the energy of the particle. Since in this case, the energy of the particle is larger than the barrier, so the probability remains the same. The only thing is that there will be a phase change, there will be a wavelength change. Energy will be different. Yes, what you wrote is correct. Like energy relates to phase change or wavelength change, but intensity relates to the change. Is yes, 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 exactly. Absolutely. So that means the intensity is related to the amplitude. So the intensity, which you call intensity in classical world, is the same as probability in the quantum world. So the intensity or the probability remains unchanged. However, the energy changes because of the phase change, wavelength change, frequency change. Okay, Ashok, you have understood well. Okay, Vuna, you had a question.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, as you have mentioned, the probability will be same after
Yes.
in the region 2 and region 1.
Yes.
So you mean to say that, do you mean to say that mod of A square is equal to mod of C square?
No. What will happen is, in the left hand side, mod of A minus B whole square, mod of A whole square minus mod of B whole square should be equal to K2 by K1 into mod of C whole square.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so because do not forget that there is one incident radiation which is A and the reflected radiation which is B. So if you subtract that, then it will be equal to C. Okay.
Sir, as Ashok has mentioned in the messages,
Yeah,
that energy and intensity is different.
yeah.
Sir, energy and intensity is different. Okay. You mean to say that the energy will be same in region 1 and region 2, but the intensity will be changing. Is it what?
Intensity will be changing. Yes, yes. Intensity will be changing. That means, no, energy will be changing. Intensity will remain the same. Intensity is equivalent to saying the probability.
Sir,
Okay. Yes. For example,
basically,
here, if you notice, the wavelengths have changed.
yes, sir.
So the free energy has changed. Frequency have changed. As a consequence, what will happen? If you are observing the energy of the particle here and the energy of the particle here, those energies will be different.
Yes,
That is
sir.
the free energy which you will be able to measure. You will measure only E minus V naught. You cannot measure the absolute energy of the particle. No. Because when the electron is inside a lattice, it is always subjected to some potential, the lattice potential. Okay. So the energy which you will measure for the electron over here in this region is going to be definitely different from this. So accordingly, the phase will change, frequency change, and wavelength changes. However, the particle is not lost anywhere. It is flowing, right?
Yes, sir.
So
Yeah.
basically, so that means if you want to cut open the solid state material somewhere, you cannot say, okay, the right hand side of the silicon is having more electron density than the left hand side of the electron of the silicon. No, no, no. Suppose you have got a metal, aluminum block. बीच
Yes.
से एल्यूमिनियम को काट दो, आपको ऐसा लगेगा कि इलेक्ट्रॉन डेंसिटी, एटॉमिक डेंसिटी ऑफ electron density of copper in one side is more than the other. It never happens because of this phenomenon.
Yes.
Okay, so that means intensity remains the same. Intensity, it's not intensity per se, intensity in classical. So here the probability of finding the electron remains the same throughout the solid state.
So,
The only thing, yeah.
we have to understand by using the Gibbs free energy level, no, sir?
Gibbs free energy, exactly, absolutely. When we are
Yes.
talking about the, that is why I began this lecture with this idea. This is where your classical ball picture is there. In this is the quantum electron picture. So quantum electron mein, in quantum world, the quantum particle energy is defined by the Gibbs free energy. How much free energy does that particle have? Now, the moment we are talking about this free energy, free का मतलब क्या है? Free मतलब how much of the energy the particle has for its motion, because some of its energy will be taken away because of the obstacle.
Yes.
Okay, that is the
Yes.
reason. Correct.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. In fact, this you can relate to something very interesting. In case of a MOSFET, I'm sure many of you have an idea, right?
You mean overdrive voltage, sir?
Yes, exactly. Overdrive voltage. Now you are able to connect the dots. Notice this is N plus P, N plus. This is the typical MOSFET structure. Then MOSFET में क्या हो रहा है? So this is MOSFET, right? Think about this particular axis along the channel. So if this is your Fermi energy level, this is N plus, this is N plus, this is the P region. This is the energy band diagram along the channel. Okay, na? So if this is the P region, so this is the source, lot of electrons are here, and this is the drain. So if the electrons have to go over there, they have to basically have this much amount of energy required, correct? So what does it happen? Like if you are applying a sufficient amount of gate bias and the drain bias, then what will happen is the electron energy will essentially be like this. This is going to be the free energy in the source, and this is going to be the free energy inside the channel. So unless and until the free energy in the channel is larger, it's a positive value, you will not get any channel region. Yes or no? This is known to everybody, isn't it? So this is again the free energy which we are talking about. In this case, how are we getting this V naught? This V naught in quantum mechanics, I'm telling in terms of, okay, some arbitrary voltage, arbitrary potential energy V naught, which is less than E. Okay. How do you create that in a real life situation of a device in a circuit? This is defined by the band gap. By doping N plus P, N plus, we will do doping a lot later on. Okay. So if you are having a P region and N plus region, the band offset is going to give you this V naught. So the minimum amount of energy required for the electron to move over there is threshold voltage. So whatever we are talking about, the Gibbs free energy is VGS minus VT. In the classical, I mean, this is what you will observe. So this is what, I don't know, Vuna, I think, Vuna told, this is the overdrive voltage. So when we will be dealing with circuit designs, we will be working with overdrive voltage, I mean, throughout. Understood, everybody? So this overdrive voltage is something similar to this free energy which we are providing. So in this situation, in the real life situation of the MOSFETs, which you are using every second, every microsecond, let us say, every microsecond of your life, all these MOSFETs are essentially working with VOV, and that VOV is providing the Gibbs free energy, which we are learning now. Okay, there you go. And this is just one example. This is happening inside the solid state material also. As I have shown you in the other case, this is also Gibbs free energy. So this is the reason why the electrons are able to move. Okay, and that is, this scattering phenomena gives you the concept of resistance in the material. So when we say resistance is 1 kilo ohm, and when we say, okay, copper resistance is only 50 ohms, then you can understand that the scattering phenomena is high or low. Fine, everybody. Sriya, you have raised your arm.
Yes, sir. So this probability remains same in all the other cases as well?
Other cases mean?
I mean the first and the second case. We are dealing with the third one, that is the smaller rectangular potential.
No.
Right?
Over here, for example, in the second example of application of Schrodinger equation, you can understand that even though the wavelength and the frequency changes, so that means the energy of the particle changes. That means energy here is free energy changes, but the amplitude remains the same. Okay? Yes. So that means the probability remains, and that is, see, since the probability remains the same, that is why the electrons are able to move. Like even if you do not go into any quantum mechanics, any modeling, anything, from your very basic common sense, okay, the bulb which used to glow 2 years ago, it is still working today. Why? The copper wire which is connecting the switch in your house all the way to your bulb or the tube light or the fan, okay, that copper wire is not losing any carriers. So the particle is not lost anywhere. That is the reason why the moment you switch on the fan 2 years ago, it is used to work. Now, without even changing that copper wiring, okay, electrical, this is pure electrical, okay, you have not changed the copper wiring, still it is working because electrons are not lost. So that means the probability of finding the electron in the copper wire close to the electric switch and the probability of finding the electron in the copper wire close to the fan remains the same. Okay. This is the, I mean, this is the most layman way of explaining the thing.
Yes.
Okay, so that means what? I mean, irrespective of the position where you are cutting that copper wire, the probability of finding the electron remains the same. That is why you are getting the current 5 amperes throughout. If you are using an AC, it is using 15 ampere current, but the 15 ampere throughout the copper wire. Okay, so it is irrespective of whether, so now it is a copper wire, so the resistance R, this R is less. That's all. Okay, na?
Yes, sir.
But,
Yes, sir.
but this is the
Clear, sir.
situation, the probability of finding the electron remains the same when the barriers are lower. But in the previous case, when the barrier is larger, definitely not. As I explained in the previous class, if you are observing the phenomenon here, what is the probability of finding the electron? 0.
Is 0. Yes.
Okay, so the probability
Yes,
of
sir.
finding the electron is going to reduce like anything if the barrier is larger than the energy of the particle. In this case, however, the probability remains the same, but the energy of the particle reduces.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
But again, you must also remember, this is also crucial. जो मैंने यहाँ पर दिखाया था, probability, the energy of the particle here is low, but the moment the particle emerges on the other side of the obstacle, again, what is the Gibbs free energy?
E.
It's again E.
Yeah.
So it will regain its energy the moment it is outside the barrier. So what is happening? This is the same thing in case of a MOSFET. The moment it comes out of the channel, again the Gibbs free energy in the drain region is also the same. Okay. Again, let us come back to the situation when we are discussing about solid state. The moment, as long as it is under the influence of the obstacle, the wavelength and frequency is different. The moment it comes out into the next atom, again it becomes the same energy. So that means the Gibbs free energy keeps on oscillating between E and E minus V naught. Okay, everybody?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. In fact, this is what you will find in solid state physics books. This figure, in fact, this diagram itself you will find in the Charles Kittell's book. And this phenomenon gives rise to something very interesting called phonons. We will get into that later. But phonons, I do not know. That will be too much for this course. Those of you who are interested, we can explain, but that is out of the syllabus. Those of you who want to pursue PhD, you are welcome. But for your job perspective after MTech, nobody bothers. Nobody, I mean, even Intel, Qualcomm do not bother about phonons. Okay. At MTech level jobs, if you want to join Intel R&D, there of course you need all this. Of course, you need a PhD for that. So that's different. Okay, so let's get back to the last topic. This is not going to be tough. This is very simple. This is something which is the textbook-like problem which you will find everywhere. That is the infinite rectangular potential well. Okay. Now let us understand something very interesting. Notice that the first example which we saw, the free particle example, there the particle was just like a sine wave. Okay. So we had a free particle expression. Okay. In the second case, what was the situation? It was still continuous, right? The moment it is entering the barrier, of course, this K will be reducing, but as long as it is free particle here in this domain, it was again a free particle, like it is going to have the same continuous variation of energy with the K. EK diagram is continuous, right? In this situation, smaller rectangular potential step, what we observe is that the K value changes. One is K1, the other one is K2. One is dependent on root over E, the other one is dependent on root over E minus V naught. So the Gibbs free energy changes, so K1, K2 changes. However, the particle still remains a sinusoidal wave. Yes or no? So the particle is still technically free. Free in the sense like it is not having any obstacle. The obstacle it faced was in here. I mean, barrier it faced was in here. There is an obstacle which simply reduces its energy. That's it. Now we come into a situation in which the particle is not even able to move. Okay. That means This is the example of a confined particle or particle confinement. Whatever we are going to learn here is the basis for lasers and LEDs. All optical communication devices, optical devices are like this. Okay, so in our department, we have got two experts like who have worked on optical communication and optical devices. One is Professor Prashant Kumar Patnaik, and the other one is Dr. Shubhrodeep Pal. So those of you who are interested to join into optical devices, optical communication, optical waveguides, I mean, you must contact these professors because who will guide you better. Okay, so Dr. Shubhrodeep Pal and Professor Prashant Kumar Patnaik. Okay, they are into the optical domain. But I will basically discuss only about the device aspects, but I am not into optical communication or waveguides as such. Okay, so those of you who are interested, you must contact these professors. All right. However, if you are working with LEDs, lasers, okay, so that is nothing other than the infinite rectangular potential well, which we are going to study right now. The basic quantum mechanics for that is here. By the way, the devices which you are using in your laptops and smartphones, they will follow this. Okay, because we are essentially having some current, right? Some charged particles moving somewhere. So moving somewhere means this is the situation. Okay, so in my research group, we are essentially dealing with this kind of a situation. In optical communication, lasers, LEDs, this is the situation where this is what we are going to learn here is called, there are two kinds of confinement we will learn in LEDs and lasers. One is called optical confinement, the other one is called carrier confinement. So today we are going to learn here something which is called carrier confinement. That means carriers, the electrons are bound to stay within a small region of space. Okay, so this is called carrier confinement. So when we are dealing with lasers later on in this course, I'm not going to go into this quantum mechanics anymore. I'll simply refer to today's lecture and you can learn from that. All right, so now for the carrier confinement thing, what we have done is simply, यहाँ पर जो barrier था ना, बड़ा वाला barrier, larger rectangular potential step, that means V naught is larger than E. ठीक है? This one is on the right hand side and we will just put it on the left hand side also. समझ में आ रहा है? Huh? So that means if I can illustrate here for explanation, we have already seen this situation, much larger, and then Control C, Control V, and then reverse this. Let's make it red, and I shall put it here like that. Okay, so we are essentially making this barrier on both on right and left, and then we want to find out what is going on inside the barrier, inside the well. So if you can clearly understand that this appears to be like a potential well. So this is a huge barrier, V naught, V naught. Now the energy of the particle, ये कौन सा हम कौन सा deal कर रहे हैं? If it has to be a barrier, then the particle energy has to be lower than the barrier height. So this is the larger rectangular potential barrier. So that means, let us say the particle energy is somewhere here. Okay, this is your E. That means E is less than V naught. Okay, now the realistic situation is such that E is less than V naught, and this is not very much different. This is the realistic situation, जो actual में होता है. Okay, so that is called the finite potential well problem. Particle in a rectangular finite potential well problem. Okay, let me highlight this. This is rectangular, but this is finite potential well. Okay. However, a much easier simplification for this is when in the limit when V naught is tending towards infinity. Okay, so that means E is much smaller than V naught. then the situation is something much simpler, which I'll finish it off today. This is called infinite potential well. Okay, that means V is equal to infinity. V naught is infinity. Okay, right? Everybody with me? Just bear with me for another 15 minutes. It will be over. Then we will understand a little bit about your laboratory. Okay. So now, in these cases, what we have observed already, now you don't. It will be very easy for you to understand because you are now experts in quantum mechanics for barriers as of now. So what happens is, what we have seen in this case, as V tends to infinity, as V naught is much greater than E, क्या होगा? The transmission probability is 0. ठीक है ना? तो यहाँ पर क्या होने वाला है? So since V is infinity, the probability of finding the electron on region number 3 and region number 1 is 0. Yes or no? So I have done all those mathematics here. Okay. So psi1 is equal to 0 for all x less than 0. That means region 1. Psi3, this region, is 0 for all x greater than L. This is region 3. Okay. So at this point also, it is going to be 0. So what does it imply? That means the particle is going to have a node here. The wave is going to have a node here and a node here. So what are the possibilities? It can be a fundamental mode. This one. This is progressive towards positive x. Negative x में it will undergo a phase change and it will essentially go up like that. This is the fundamental. Second one क्या हो सकता है? Very simple. This and this. Because node is always going to be at the ends because V equal to infinity at x equal to 0 and x equal to L. क्या होगा? It can be like this. Correct? And so on. The number of loops will go on increasing. So this is the situation of a stationary wave. I explained that in one of our previous lectures. So in this case, these are all progressive waves. And why progressive? Because there was the carriers were not confined. Here the carriers are confined. As I told you, this is the case of carrier confinement in LEDs and lasers. Right? Excellent. So now let's understand this. So in region 1 and region 3, ये तो समझ में आ गया है. ये जरा देख लेना. I do not want to spend time on this because all of you are experts with this. In region 2 means inside the well. Inside the well, between 0 to L. When x in region 2, where is it? Yeah. In region 2, this is the case. In region 2, you are going to have this relation, which is of interest to us. So within this region, we are essentially having kind of a free particle because V equal to 0. यहाँ पर V है ही नहीं देखो equation में. So you will be getting one combination means technical term is superposition. A superposition of the sinusoidal waves. Okay. Now, if we assume, which one will we assume here? So this is the solution of the second order differential equation. Okay. ठीक है. तो यहाँ पर देखो, I have put A2, B2, sine and cos, all of them are there. Now notice that what are the boundary conditions? At x equal to 0, there is a node. Correct? So psi1 0 equal to psi2 0 is equal to 0. So what we understand is, अगर हम x में 0 बिठाते हैं, then the sine k2x is anyway 0. So A2 sine k2 0 is not there. So all you will be left with is B2 cos k2 0. What is cos 0? It is 1. So that means you are left with B2 equal to 0. Therefore, psi2 will only have the sign component, not the cos component. Okay. Those of you who are mathematically very strong, you can understand that this is essentially the choice of the axis which is being concerned over here. So if this is 0 and this is L, then we will say x equal to 0 mein aapka amplitude 0 hai. Suppose I chose here minus L by 2 and this is plus L by 2, then the relation instead of sign will be the cos component. Okay, it is just the choice of your x-axis, the choice of the origin 0, that matters. Okay. So once we have this sign k2x, then what is the second boundary condition? The second boundary condition is at here. There is a node at x equal to L. So psi 3 at x equal to L is equal to 0 here, node. Okay, this is a node. So psi 2L will be A2 sine K2L. So A2 sine K2L, cos component already gone because B2 is 0. So A2 sine K2L is equal to 0, from which K2L is simply n pi. Okay, high school trigonometry. तो K2 का वैल्यू क्या आ रहा है? n pi by L. So एनर्जी का क्या एक्सप्रेशन था? डिस्पर्शन रिलेशन h cross square k square by twice m. तो वहां से first time, this is the quantum phenomena. We note that instead of the continuous energy levels here, the free particle energy E is equal to h cross square k square by twice m. जितना k बढ़ाओगे, energy will be continuously increasing, is as a parabola. First time which we observe here is that the energy becomes a function of this n. What is this n? N is here, right? N is an integer. That means this n is what? Chemistry में आप लोगों ने सीखा था. ये n क्या है? n क्या है? Somebody tell me da. Principal quantum number. याद है? Don't say you have completely forgotten all this. This is the principal quantum number. Okay, so that means for the first time we observe that the energy of the particle is not continuous anymore. It is discrete. Thanks to this n. अब n का value क्या है? This n is a principal quantum number, right? So it belongs to the set of integers z. In fact, not even z. I should actually write it as 0, 1, 2. Not 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Whole numbers. So now, if we put the same figure, देखो, same dispersion relation, अभी मैं इस carrier confinement वाला case, that means restricted carrier situation में अगर मैं draw करता हूं, तब क्या दिखेगा? कैसे दिखेगा? This was the free particle, right? Red one. In our case, we are going to find that this is k, right? So k का क्या क्या value रहेगा? First one will be n is equal to 1, so pi by L. Second one will be 2 pi by L. Third one will be 3 pi by L. And so on. Right? And what is the corresponding energy? Here, 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 and so on. That means in the free particle situation, what we have noticed is that k is continuously changing, energy is also continuously changing. So the free particle situation is similar to classical physics. In the quantum world, what we observe is that the energy of the particle is only available here, here, and so on. So what is the variation? The first one which we observe is for n equal to 1. So let us call it E1. The second one will be how much? N is equal to 2, right? Look, here I have put n equal to 2. K का value क्या था? N pi by L. So I should also highlight this. Correct? सोचो इस ध्यान से समझो इस बात को. N is 1, 2, 3, 4. So what are the possible values of K? Only 1, that is pi by L. N equal to 2, 2 pi by L. So 2 pi by L matlab the only possible energy is here. So what is E2 here? 2 square into the rest is basically E1, right? E1 क्या होगा? Pi square h cross square by twice ml square. E2 क्या होगा? 2 square into E1. So I shall write here 2 square into E1. What is the third energy state? 3 square into E1. Okay? So this E1 is called what? What is it called? Ground state. Degenerate state? No. We'll come to degenerate states later. So ground state. Okay? And all this E2, E3, these are called the excited states. Now, how do you put this excitation is your engineering. Okay. After around 2 weeks, when we are deep inside devices, there your engineering, your mastery about devices and circuits will essentially will determine the excited states. How to energize the carriers to higher energy states. But the ground states remain at E1. Okay. So the bottom line of this discussion is that the moment you are confining the carriers within a small region of space here, what will happen? The K value as well as a consequence of that, the energy values both get discretized. Okay, so these are called the quantum states or discrete states. So energy is not quantized. Yes, Shriya is correct. Okay, so we are speaking about the quantized. So energy becomes quantized. My entire PhD thesis like 10 years ago when I was in IISc Bangalore. I did was the influence of quantization of energy states in single electron transistors, lower technology nodes. Okay, I got the President's Gold Medal for that thesis. So that was really hot topic at that time. So here, if you notice that E1, 4E1, 9E1, 16E1 and so on, these are the only possible energy states where the particle can exist. Okay, so that means the particle will stay at this energy level, and only when it gets 4E1 minus E1, that means only when it achieves, when it somehow gets 3E1 energy, it will just jump to the next energy state here. Then after that, it will not continuously increase, it will stay here until it gets 4E1, and this is how much? 9E1. So when it gets 5E1 extra, this band gap, this is essentially the origin of band gap actually. This is not a band, so band will come later. This is the energy gap, you can call it. It is not energy band gap, but energy gap. This is the gap or the forbidden gap where the electrons or the carriers cannot have any energy state. The next state is only 3E1, 3 square E1, that is 9E1. So only when it gets 5E1 will it jump to the next energy state. Okay. So this, whenever it is jumping, or let us say when the particle is at 9E1, from 9E1 when it is jumping to 4E1, it will emit some radiation. That radiation is the gap 5E1. That simply gives you the Balmer series, Bastian series. Remember Rydberg constant in your chemistry classes? Huh? The various like when the electron is going from, so what was this Balmer series and all that? Nucleus 2, 3. These are the various orbitals. Okay, here is a particle. When it jumps from here to there, that means it was at a higher energy level. it goes to a lower energy level. So the energy that is lost comes out as a radiation. So this series basically gives you the Rydberg constant around that transition states series from different ends exactly. Okay, so what are these orbitals? Orbitals are nothing other than this confined energy states. ये confined ही तो है. The particles are confined to move around the nucleus. It is not free to move around anywhere. Only when you give sufficient amount of energy, then the valence electrons will become free to move about. That is where it goes into the conduction band. Okay, we will learn about these bands later. So first time in this course, we are encountering the carrier confinement. That means you are confining the electrons to move in an orbital inside the atom. The same thing is happening inside the rectangular potential well. Understanding, everybody? So similarly, in the case of the atoms, as we have seen, the electrons either it will stay in 1s or 2s or 2p and so on. So there are specific orbitals, right? Similarly, in case of rectangular potential well, you will have specific energy states. The gap between the energy states will go on increasing. For example, this was E1, second was how much? 4E1. So the gap between this was 3E1. The next one will be 9E1. So what is the gap here? 5E1. What is the next one? It will become 16E1. What is the gap here? 16 minus 9 is how much? 7E1. So if you notice that you are increasing 3, 5, 7, 9 and like that. So this is basically the energy gaps, not between bands, but you can call it as orbitals or the energy states. Okay, so can you relate it? This is very, very interesting. So this is what, how did we get all this? Through pure mathematics. Quantum mechanics is total math. So so in this course, we are not just going to develop the equations, we are going to give the physical interpretation of that also, so that it will help you. This is why modeling is so much important. Okay, this modeling field is really, really very, very crucial. So once you have developed the model, that will give you a clear understanding of the physical phenomena, what is going on inside. Okay, excellent. So just understand this, just to conclude. For example, in the Lyman series, Bastian series, and all those series, principal quantum number, which you have studied, those series were essentially done through experiments. People were unable to explain that. Then people who are the pioneers of quantum mechanics, they came up with this theory of quantum theory. Then they were able to explain. And those explanations were exactly matching with the experiments. Those results of quantum mechanics was exactly matching with experiment. That's why quantum theory is everywhere today. Okay. So before we conclude, this is basically the indication that energy is quantized, energy is discrete for the first time, unlike the classical world. Second thing, the last thing which we are going to deal with is, अच्छा इसका wave function क्या होगा? The particle must be within the well. Obviously, the particle is confined within the well, right? It is not, it's unable to move in region 1 and region 3 because V is infinity. We will relax that situation in the finite potential well in the next class, in Tuesday. You take this entire weekend to digest whatever we have learned. We are going slightly fast this time because I want to go into devices as soon as possible. Okay, so now, yes, the particle must be inside the well anyway. तो अगर हम इसका नॉर्मलाइजेशन करते हैं ना, -∞ to +∞, कहीं ना कहीं तो पार्टिकल होगा. x = -∞ से लेकर x = +∞ तक कहीं ना कहीं तो पार्टिकल होगा, right? So the probability of finding the electron from between -∞ and +∞ through in the world anywhere is always 1. However, since it is a confined particle between 0 to L, the probability of finding the particle for x greater than L, this side, and probability of finding the electron at x less than 0 is also 0. And I have also proven it here in case you want to go through it. So between 0 to L, the particle probability of probability of finding the electron is definitely 1. So ये psi2 का expression था, हमें पता है ना? कहाँ है देखो, यही है ना? देखो psi2 का expression क्या है? I have simply replaced this k2 with this n pi by l. ठीक है, तो a2 square निकल आएगा, sin square this is equal to 1. यहाँ से we got a2 equal to root over 2 by l. So that is the expression for the function of the wave function. Notice that ये sinusoidal है, n pi x by l है and root over 2 by l. Okay, so our second lab assignment will be based on this. Okay, but we will come to that later. First of all, we will understand what our lab is all about. That's all for today as far as this is concerned. So I'll stop the recording. Yeah, please tell me, Srinivas.